Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
We're gonna do this.
Yeah? Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo to Bolt fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, you guys ready to talk about playoffs? Playoffs, director. Don't worry, guys. I'm knocking on wood. All right. It's time to talk about the Chargers' chances to make in the postseason. After a shocking victory over Miami last week, many Chargers fans are asking me. They're hitting me up in the DMs. They're hitting me up in the comments and Instagram and Twitter. What are our chances to make the postseason? Well, I'm here to tell you, they're looking pretty decent. Not guaranteed, but as many seasons before, it seems that their fate could be in their own hands. And honestly, with the schedule looking the way it suddenly does, it's not too bad. The Bolts have a solid shot at making their first postseason appearance in the Justin Herbert era. And you know what? I think the Chargers are looking more dangerous than anybody's giving them credit for right now. With returning stars like Joey Bosa, Derwin James on the horizon, the stars may be aligning for a magical final month of Chargers football. So, Bolt fam, I'm here to tell you, it's time to get excited. I put a lot of effort into this video in terms of research and stuff like that. So, hold on to your hats. We're going to talk as to why I think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs this season. Again, knock on wood. And hopefully bring along you on the way with the hype train, dudes, because I do believe seeing this man in the postseason is going to be something worth watching. Now, before we do get started, guys, we do have a couple of giveaways going on right now. The celebration month for the director. First off, we're giving away this Justin Herbert jersey to one of my subscribers. All you got to do to enter for this is hit up the link in the description, follow the instructions there, and make sure you are subscribed. Only subs can win. Good luck to you guys out there. And we're also giving away this Khalil Mack jersey, one of which I'm wearing right now, to one of my crew members. All you got to do to be entered for that is be a member of my crew, and that is it. Finally, our third jersey giveaway this month. We're also giving away this Keenan Allen jersey to one of my Twitter followers. Make sure you retweet, follow, and comment on that tweet. Link is in the description for that as well. Huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for hosting this one. As a reminder, use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100. You guys remember this? The director just won $500! Yeah, it's a good time. Again, make sure to use code DIRECTOR and have some fun as we inch into the final month of NFL football. Now let's get into this, guys. Before we do, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, action. How the Los Angeles Chargers will make the postseason in 2022. We have a lot to go over, guys, so we're going to jump right into it. First off, first segment here is one that contains a lot of optimism, but honestly, I would call it factual optimism because the Chargers are turning a corner in terms of who's on the field. This first segment called From the Ashes. We've used this term before because, again, the Chargers, who've had such a downward spiral this season of injuries, are starting to come back. This may have been one of the worst luck years in franchise history when it comes to the health of the team. But you know what? Even despite that, Justin Herbert has led this team to a 7-6 record before the final month push. That is absolutely astounding. That's incredible in and of itself. He had no wide receiver 1, 2, 4, left tackle, center, right tackle, halfback 2, tight end 2 for all, if not most of that run. That in and itself is a marvel, right? And defensively, it's kind of been just as bad, right? Missing Joey Bosa and a couple other integral stars. Now, the script is starting to flip. The Chargers have seen many players return over the last few weeks, a couple of which being Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, Joshua Kelly, Corey Linsley. They have revived this offense, and it makes a world of difference. You guys will notice what the Chargers offense looked like last week versus the Dolphins. Sure, Lombardi doesn't make things any easier, and we're hoping that something changes in that area, but this clicked to the tune of over 400 yards in a win last week versus a team a lot of people did not give us any credit to win in that game. And it's only going to get better from there, Bull fam. Derwin James, who was absent last week, should be back soon, if not this week. Joey Bosa is looking to come off IR very soon. I'm hoping for maybe this week versus Tennessee. You never know. Trey Pipkins is returning to practice. Donald Parham's coming off of IR. Sebastian Joseph Day has a chance to return. There's even whispers that a Rashawn Slater could be coming back later this year. Trust me, guys. When I say this is significant, okay? These aren't just Joe Schmo players that we're talking about. We're talking about 3 Pro Bowlers and top of the roster talent making a return to the Chargers roster. That's absolutely insane. Taking a look at Derwin James, right? The Chargers were incredible last week despite missing Derwin James. You know what? If they stumbled onto something schematically, and that were to continue into the future with Brandon Staley and whatever they did right in that game, maybe a lot of press man, whatever it was, Derwin's going to have a monster final month in that scheme. That's the way you unlock a Derwin James. Joey Bosa, his return is possibly maybe even the biggest key to unlocking this defense as well. Our pass rush has been very disappointing this year without him. But if you remember, he and Khalil Mack were kind of tearing it up out there together before Bosa's departure. If the Chargers pass rush returns to form with the Mack-Bosa duo, you can expect this new press man defense to jump to the next level as well. Joey Bosa, big impact there. Donald Parham, Trey Pipkins, these guys are going to bring a big boost as well. On the right tackle side, Foster Sarell, who's been filling in for Trey Pipkins, he's been well below average. I think we can all agree on that. We're at the point where Trey Pipkins is going to provide a significant upgrade in keeping Justin Herbert upright. Then there's Donald Parham, the big man, Chicken Parm. He's a big underrated return as well. We've seen the Chargers roll out with Trey McKitty and Stone Smart a lot lately. They're using 2 and 3 tight end sets. Parham, I think, is going to make a world of difference. Because if you guys remember, last offseason, there was a lot of confidence by the Chargers fans to maybe even see Donald Parham take the tight end 1 position because he's that good. His speed, his size, they've been missed on this team. And you can bet your butt he'll get a nice pepper of targets to end the season. I think Donald Parham's going to make a big difference, especially in our red zone offense. And then what about this man right here? This is probably the biggest surprise. The possible return of Rashawn Slater. That was one of the first gut punches we got this year in terms of, man, we're going to really miss that guy. All of a sudden, it's starting to look like that maybe we're going to get Rashawn Slater back in time for the postseason if we do make it. Now, I don't expect Slater back this week, right? Not even next week. We're talking again the last couple of games or maybe a game or two in the season, which is still insane, right? He suffered a bicep injury week 3 and was thought to be out the remainder of the season. Instead, he could provide a massive boost for the Bolts if they were to make the postseason. And guys, having an elite left tackle in this league is something to be extremely happy about, okay? Because not every team can say that. Since being drafted, Slater's been one of the best in the business, and trust me when I say seeing him back in the postseason would make a massive impact. We're talking, with the wide receivers we got back on the field, Slater alone could provide valuable time in the pocket for Justin Herbert to find deeper parts of the field. And that, my friends, is when this offense really takes off. Slater's impact cannot be undersold. Now, with that said, the Chargers, despite a horrible year in terms of health, are making a comeback. And this significant boost of talent returning to the field is extremely important to remember going forward in this video, okay? So the Chargers, they're getting some reinforcements. This next segment, taking care of business. So the Chargers are getting the stars back, okay? That's already really good news. What next? Well, at 7-6, they're going to have to put the pedal to the metal, are they not? We're going to have to go out there and win some games. And the remaining schedule, I got to tell you, it looks doable. It looks very doable. So we're going to go over the remaining opponents for the Chargers. You guys tell me what you think in terms of record. The Chargers, again, 7-6 right now. What do you think the record's going to be by the end of the season, especially with how we're laying out the games in this video, okay? First off, Week 15, Chargers versus Titans. The Chargers will start by hosting the Titans next Sunday, okay? And in terms of Chargers' weaknesses, this is the most troubling for obvious reasons, okay? His name is Derrick Henry. One of the best running backs in the entire league, and certainly the most intimidating power back that we've seen in many years in this league. Derrick Henry's that dude. Big, 6'3", 230, 40 pounds. This guy's a monster. And I do expect the Titans to run all over us next week. As the Chargers' run defense is one of the worst in the entire league. If you're a Chargers fan, I don't got to tell you, this run defense has been putrid. It's been bad. And when you're talking about going up against a guy like Derrick Henry, I think things may get a little bit crazy. However, I do have to mention a few things as well in favor of the Chargers. For one, the Bolts if we were to get Joey Bosa back, that already is a significant boost to our odds at slowing down Derrick Henry. Shut him down? Absolutely not. But Bosa's ability to defend the run, I think, is vastly underrated. And he gives us a shot at maybe getting an additional few stops here and there, right? I think he can do that for sure. Next, I also have to mention that the Titans also have a putrid defense in a few stats, one of which works very well for the Chargers. The biggest is, without a doubt, their passing defense. The Titans possess the second worst passing defense in the league, and it is bad. Just listen to this, Bull fam. Evan Ingram, 162 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Tennessee last week. T. Higgins, 114 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 106 yards. Paris Campbell with the Colts, 70 yards and a touchdown. Diami Brown, 105, 2 touchdowns. Mo Alley Cox, 85, 2 touchdowns. Mac Hollins of the Raiders, 158 and a touchdown. And then Stephon Diggs, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, it's that bad. It's pretty bad, Bull fam. And guess what? The Chargers possess a top 3 passing attack in the league. And what's more impressive is that a majority of those stats came from backup wide receivers and other skill positions. Our running back leads the team in receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns with 93, 623, and 5. That's ridiculous. Next, you got Josh Palmer with 61, 665, and 3 touchdowns. And then Gerald Everett with 48 receptions, 490 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was it. That's what Justin Herbert had to work with this season. Some great talent, absolutely. But we're talking about a top 3 passing attack without Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Now, with our dynamic duo back, a returning offensive line against the second worst passing defense in the NFL, I think the Bolts have the edge here. Sure, the Bolts are going to have to treat every game like it's the postseason, and Derrick Henry will make life extremely difficult for the Chargers. But this squad is built to take down a team like Tennessee, and I think that they can do it. So you guys let me know in the comment section with each one of these. Do you think the Chargers take down the Tennessee Titans? I think I like our odds. Next up, Week 16, at Indianapolis. This is where the schedule takes a dip in quality of opponent. That's all I'm going to say, okay? The 4-8-1 Colts have lost 6 of their last 7 games, and it looks like they're on their way to a top 5 pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. They aren't a team to be taken lightly, however, because they do have a few good things going for them that I do think counter the Chargers pretty well. For one, their passing D is very good, allowing the second fewest yards per game this season. That's something that the Chargers are going to have to figure out. And their run defense isn't too far behind either, ranking around the middle of the pack in 2022. Now, this is going to be a sneaky tough game for the Bolts, in my opinion, okay? But in the end, this team has taken a nosedive this year. I do love Jeff Saturday. Okay, I know there's a lot of controversy behind that hire, but I do love Jeff Saturday. Who knows the potential behind that going forward? But his lack of experience is something I think the Chargers should take advantage of. And with a bottom 8 offense in the league possessed by the Colts, I think the Chargers should be able to take care of business in this one, but cautiously, okay? Because this to me is one of those sneakiest, potential trap games left on our schedule. Still, we're talking about the 4-8-1 Colts. I think the Chargers have a pretty good odds taking them down. Certainly with Matt Ryan struggling the way he has been the past couple of weeks. Next up, Week 17. Chargers versus the Los Angeles Rams. This game has an asterisk next to it for me, because this was originally the game that I wanted to attend. And at the time, at the top of the season, I was like, this is going to be a hard-fought battle, the battle for LA. We're going to go and leave our mark in Los Angeles, right, as the best team in LA. Since the start of the year, this team has collapsed from their Super Bowl form, okay, ranking as the second worst offense in the league, now led by Baker Mayfield, okay, who did have a really good performance last week, but this team, they've just been downright bad at putting up points, and who knows if the Baker Mayfield experiment works going forward. If you guys remember with the Carolina Panthers earlier this season, Baker Mayfield was looking very good in his first game or two. After that, things really went downhill. Now, sure, their defense is something I still very much so respect behind Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. They're still pretty dangerous. But they've also managed to allow around 330 yards per game, which is just about league average. I'm looking forward to this game tremendously, okay? And this is one, again, I wish I could attend, but again, I think it's on New Year's, just couldn't swing it. Because I think with a solid performance, the Chargers can leave their footprint as the best NFL team in Los Angeles. Still not an opponent to take lightly, Because, of course, you're going to be seeing Sean McVay versus, our head coach, Brandon Staley. There's going to be something there, right? But I think the Chargers have the clear edge offensively. We'll have to see if they can pull this one out. And again, if they can get a win or two before this game, I think the motivation to really go out there and take a grip on this market, all the motivation is going to be there. All right? Lastly, to close out the regular season, the Chargers will be facing the Denver Broncos in Denver. Okay? And here we are again, Chargers fans. The Chargers potentially needing to go through a division opponent to make the postseason. The difference here is the Broncos won't be fighting for a spot of their own like the Raiders were last year. Now, that doesn't change the fact that they could be in a position to spoil our season hopes, right? Our postseason hopes. And I'm sure they would jump on the chance to do so. But here's the thing. I don't know if I've seen a more epic collapse in recent years than what the Broncos have shown this year. This has been the definition of dumpster fire. Their offense has been an absolute train wreck behind Russell Wilson, who is without a doubt at the point of maybe being considered washed. Okay? I think he finessed them into a very high contract, of which they're stuck in for very many years, and Russell Wilson is just not the same. I think versus a defense that features Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and more is going to make life extremely difficult for Wilson this game, especially with Bosa and Mack getting a few games back together already. Sure, yes, it's a division opponent. I'm worried about the Broncos defense. I think Pat Surtain could be the best new cornerback in the league right now, but the Chargers just have too many weapons. Herbert's not afraid to spread the ball around. And again, being a division game, you have to respect that. But with the Chargers on the rise and the Broncos looking like, well, the Broncos, you have to believe that the Bolts can pull this one out, okay? So with all of this on the table, what do you guys think so far in terms of our chances? I think they're looking pretty good, right? So next up, let's talk about our competition a little bit, mainly the AFC East. This division went nuts. You guys remember at the top of the season, we're all talking about, wow, the AFC West, it's going to be the toughest division that we've seen in a very long time. Well, it turns out it was the AFC East all along. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots. These are going to be the guys. These are going to be the guys that we have to monitor, all competing for a wild card spot. A lot can happen depending on how these teams perform, however. And I think as of right now, the Chargers have like a 55% chance at making the postseason. A lot can change depending on how these teams perform. Luckily for the Chargers, they've got to play each other as well as a tougher schedule to close out the year than the Bolts do. Okay? So I have laid out a very fun exercise here via the ESPN playoff machine. All right? I've gone through and I've just for kicks and giggles made the selections for all teams not concerning the Chargers. Okay? And we're going to finish this thing out to kind of give you guys an idea of what the season looks like for the Chargers depending on our own record and what I think the Dolphins, Jets, or Patriots will do this season. Okay? So we're going to do this together. So, first off, and again, hopefully you guys can see way in the back, we're going to go through all the opponents that kind of impact the Chargers. First off, Buffalo versus Miami. After last week, you have to give it to Buffalo. Okay? Next up, who's next over here? Jets versus Lions. I think the Jets are going to take that one. Then next up, we've got the Patriots versus the Raiders. This one's a bit tougher for me. I think the Raiders could win this one. The only time you're going to be rooting for the Raiders, but in the end, I have to give it to the Patriots. Okay, we have to try and remain unbiased as much as possible. Try and get a more genuine result here. I think, honestly, dudes, and again, this is where all of the previous segments come into play here with how we talked about the Titans, with their defense, with the Chargers offense, the returning stars. I think the Chargers can take down the Tennessee Titans. Okay, so that's going to be Week 15 concerning the Jets, the Dolphins, the Chargers, and then, of course, the Patriots. Next up, Week 16. Now, currently, that puts the Chargers at 8-6 in the 7th seed. Okay, putting us back in the driver's seat there. Next up, Week 16. Jaguars versus Jets. I think the Jaguars are a sneaky good team this year. Okay, and the Jets right now, we know Mike White's been really hot, but he is injured. Okay, there are some concerns in terms of the Jets' health right now. I still think I'm going to give it to the Jets, though, because I do think that there may be a game later that they struggle even more with, but don't rule out the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 16 taking down the Jets, okay? And keep in mind, as we're going through this whole thing, these are the teams to root for next week, okay? As on top of the Chargers versus the Titans. We're kind of rooting for the Raiders a little bit. We're rooting for the Lions. We're rooting for the Buffalo Bills, etc., etc. So back here to Week 16. We'll be rooting for the Jags, but I think the Jets take it, okay? Moving on here, we have the Patriots versus the Bengals. I think, honestly, the Bengals are on the rise. I'm going to give the win to the Bengals on that one. Next up, the Titans and Texans. I think this one should have been marked. I think the Titans are going to make it, absolutely. And then next up, the Dolphins and the Packers. I think the Dolphins are going to win that game. And then here's the Chargers and the Colts. Again, I think the Chargers should be able to take this matchup. Let's give it to the Chargers. Okay, so now the Chargers, 2-0 in the weeks 15 and 16 so far. Can they keep it up? Let's go here into week 17. Starting here, I think the Cowboys are taking down the Titans again. I think the Titans are going to make it, so we should have had them marked. Next up, we have the Dolphins and the Patriots. This is where things get interesting, okay? Can the Patriots take down the Miami Dolphins, who've been a powerhouse this season? I think this will be a game that the Dolphins can take care of, if I'm being honest. The Dolphins, it's a new era. Without Tom Brady, Tua's going to be the guy you have to go through, and I think Tua's going to prove in this particular division that the Dolphins are second place behind the Buffalo Bills. So we're going to give that one to the Dolphins. Next up, we've got the Jets and the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seattle Seahawks can give the Jets a run for their money, especially in Seattle. That environment's super tough to play in. So we're going to give it to the 12th man there, to the Seattle Seahawks, giving the Jets a loss in this bracket of games. Then we have the Chargers and Rams. This one I kind of teetered on. I think the Rams can come out there and surprise a lot of people, much like they did last week. But I still have to give it to the Chargers, just given the state of both teams. Unless they get a guy back like Cooper Kupp, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to walk out of that one the victors. So we're going to give that one to the Chargers. Then finally, Week 18. Week 18. Starting here with the Patriots. Again, Patriots-Bills. I think, again, it's going to be very tough for Mac Jones and Bill Belichick to take down the Bills, especially on a heater. Now, there is a world where the Buffalo Bills go into Week 18 starting their backups, and the Patriots shock us with a win here. So keep that in mind. I think that could very much so happen. But for now, I'm going to put the Bills up on top because they're the obvious better team. All right. Next up, the Titans-Jags. I think the Jags could shock us in this one, so we'll go ahead and put the Jags on that. And then you have the Jets versus Dolphins again. Okay, another matchup of two teams that we need to lose. This can only help the Chargers. And again, I think the Jets at this point, they do have a shot at winning this one, but in Miami, I think maybe with the Miami Dolphins fighting for the, not even fighting for a spot too aggressively, but you do see them here as a 7th seed. I think they're going to take this one. Miami Dolphins in the win bracket there. And then finally, the Chargers and Broncos. Let's be honest here, guys. The Broncos, this could end up being a trap game. So we're going to start off with this scenario, okay? Let's say the Chargers win 3 straight. It would be 4th win straight. And let's say the Broncos come out here and they shock us with an upset, okay? Where does this leave the Chargers in terms of the postseason? Do we have a seed? Yes, we do. 10-7 Chargers would still make the postseason, just with how I've laid things out, okay? And this is just a preview. Things could change. Other teams could win, lose, whatever, but this is what I honestly think is going to happen in the season. I think the Chargers could go 10-7 and snatch up that 7th seed. And then once you get Justin Herbert in the postseason, things get kind of crazy. Now, what if the Chargers do win out? Chargers do take the 6th seed at 11-6. And again, I cannot rule out 11-6 for the Chargers. But what if the Chargers lose to one of the other opponents, right? Let's say the Chargers do take a loss versus the Tennessee Titans. That still puts us at the 7th seed there. What if we lose to the Titans and also the Rams? Guess what, Bowl fam? Chargers at 9-8, still in the postseason. There's still a shot the Chargers can make the postseason at 9-8. But at this point, I think the Chargers' fate is in their own hands. I think the Chargers can go at least 10-7, if not win out, and give themselves a very solid shot at the postseason. So to close this video out, guys, that was kind of a fun exercise. Let me know what you guys think. If any of my picks were weird, whatever. It's the playoff machine for a reason. So here's my prediction. I believe that the Chargers' ceiling, realistically, is that they can win out. Honestly, truthfully, 11-6, I do not think is far out of reach with the remaining schedule we have for the Bolts. And I absolutely think it's something that we could expect to see. My position going forward, however, is going to be 10-6. At this point, a lot depends on how other playoff contenders perform, but that gives us a solid chance at that 7th seed. And I feel pretty confident in that. I think the Chargers could lose to either the Titans or the Rams. I think the Chargers can take the Colts and the Broncos, but I think, again, if they go 10-6, that gives us a really solid chance. And again, with the strength of schedule remaining, it's not too shabby. So finally, my bottom line in this video. This season still has a chance to be very, very special. One that Chargers fans will remember forever. You could almost view this Chargers season as a Cinderella story of 2022. Hemorrhaged by injuries, many had written us off by week 10, but as the team has gotten healthier, players return, as we survived tough games and ultimately began their final run with an astounding 7-6 despite the circumstances, the Chargers are in a position to make a big splash, a big impact if they can just get into the postseason. Because as concerning as it is to see our players go down, you guys have to also realize the returning players are coming back with more in the tank, a little bit fresher. And again, there is a re-injury risk, again, knock on wood, but that is the positive side of it if there is to find one, or one to find. Their multi-Pro Bowl prowess in these returning players carries with it enormous potential to completely turn around their season average stats. This team, if they can find a way to fight their way into the postseason, could become one of the most dangerous in the playoffs. Because this isn't the same team anymore. This is the Los Angeles Chargers many of us hope to see at the top of the season before all of the injuries. That version of the Bolts, that version is deadly. It's time, Bowl fam. It's time that we see Justin Herbert in the postseason. And honestly, I think he's going to thrive in that environment. I think Justin Herbert is going to be something special to witness if he can get into the postseason. And right now, I think the Chargers' fate is in their own hands. Don't write off the Los Angeles Chargers season, folks. The stars are beginning to align. You guys let me know in the comment section below what you think. Give me your record prediction as well. Again, I'm going to stand. My position is going to be 10-6. I think 11 or 10-7, right? I think 11-6 is well within the realm of possibility as well. Have I been saying 10-6 this whole time? Sorry, guys. Old habits die hard. But let me know your guys' positions as well as if you think the Chargers can make it into the postseason. Right now, I'm at like a pretty 80% yes that the Chargers can make it. And again, knock on wood. But again, just getting this man into the postseason, the most important aspect. Behind healthier roster and Justin Herbert, I think we get to witness something special. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you did like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Remember to go to Twitter and hit up this tweet for a chance to win Keenan Allen. Make sure to sub and like and all that good stuff for a chance to win Justin Herbert. And all crew members get excited for a giveaway for Khalil Mack. Should be a really good one. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining. This has been The Director. The stars are aligning. Let's go out there and get Justin Herbert into the postseason. We'll catch you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Just get into the postseason, Bull fam. Justin Herbert will do the rest.